Good morning, everybody, and you're really welcome to the second session of our virtual career series, IT and Technology. And we are absolutely delighted to be joined by First Derivatives, or FD Technologies. It's a bit of a rebrand, and I'm sure Elizabeth will go through that in a couple of minutes. But a company that does not need any introduction to anybody at DKIT. We're delighted to be joined by Elizabeth Toner, who's Vice President of Global Talent at FD Technologies and First Derivatives, and Joshua Patterson, who is Graduate Recruitment Executive and is on placement at First Derivatives FD Technologies. So, guys, we're absolutely delighted that you could join us here this morning. As I said, the company doesn't need any introduction to DKIT. You've been usually supportive of everything that we're doing from an employability perspective over the last number of years. And we're delighted to welcome you, as I said. Elizabeth, if you want to start off the presentation. I know you want to speak a bit about the new branding, and I've been sharing some of the new logos across social media. So some of the students might have questions or wondering why to rebrand or why to refocus on technology. So I'm sure you'll start off with that. But we're excited to have you here, and the very best of luck with your presentation.
Thank you, Anthony. Hello, everybody. Great to see you all online today. We're delighted to be here. I suppose it's a great opportunity to be in front of the DKIT students. I know Anthony touched on it there. We have been working with DKIT for a number of years, and it's a key talent pool for us that we revisit year on year for a number of reasons. I think the biggest part to highlight is the fact, I suppose, proximity in terms of where we're based. We've always had a soft spot for the Dundalk talent as well. Our organisation, although we are global, our HQ is based in Newry, which is 15-20 minutes from where you guys are studying. So it's something that very close to our heart to visit and to be on campus and to speak to students from across a number of different backgrounds. So in terms of the brand, so First Derivative, we went through a recent rebrand, and obviously these slides, are very much in our new look and feel of what the new logo is. I think the biggest change that jumps out is actually the name. So a number of people know us as First Derivatives with an S. That's been the biggest change. We've dropped the S. A number of reasons. It's all in line, I suppose, with our restructuring. So FD Technologies is our group name, and the consulting arm and the graduate recruitment arm of talent coming through will sit within the First Derivative side of our business. So the following slides will talk through kind of how that organization is split up. But I suppose, why we decided to relaunch it, I suppose we're going through a transition. The restructuring is a big thing. We've separated different parts of our business and they're operated in different ways now. But even the look and feel of the logo has a fresh appearance. Even the touches of green and white, it's a complete breath of fresh air in terms of the direction that the company is going. We really embrace the change of the industry. So we are very much, yes, financial technology is what we do, but the transition is, previously we worked very much in banks and hedge funds. They were our bread and butter. But the introduction of data and the prominence of data really in this space has really been throughout the whole logo and the whole feel of the new company. You'll see that data is the direction that we're going. So over the next few slides, I'm going to talk through that and how the company split up is now currently known as. So we'll kick off. Thanks for the introduction, Anthony. So yes, I'm VP of Global Talent. I've been with the company for 10 years. So I've been there through a lot of change. When I joined, there was 700 people in the company. So I've been very lucky to have worked very closely with our CEO and founder of the organization, Brian Conlon, who sadly passed away a number of years ago. So he established the company, believe it or not, from his mum's bedroom. And I think this story is great because a lot of people don't realize it. It really is a local success story. So he's a Newry man. He had his own career all across the world, working in different trading floors across New York and further afield. And he took the big risk to jump on a plane and come back and set up his own company in Northern Ireland. A lot of people thought he was crazy, but he was determined. He seen the potential in setting up an organization in Northern, and he did it. And I suppose the success speaks for itself. As the company has grown over a number of years, he's moved into different areas as well. So before, finance was the main focus, and the introduction of technology and the importance of that was, very much on his vision of where the company was going. So, as I mentioned, sadly, he did pass away a number of years ago, and we had a new CEO that came on board who was our chairman for a number of years. So he's very keen in keeping the culture, which is really important, keeping the legacy of our founder, but also moving the company forward in into the growth area and to a different direction as well. So these next few slides, we'll touch on kind of what the new image looks like. So even our terminology has changed and as to how we kind of refer to our people. So pioneers, engineers, and solutioneers. So you'll notice throughout these slides, there's kind of a similar pattern. It's very much about data-driven digital revolution and kind of really pumping new life into the capital market space. So the rate of change is kind of our phrase that we're using. We really are trying to embed this change into capital markets and moving forward, and ensuring that that data is stamped throughout. So this sort of links in quite closely to our logo that you'll notice the kind of greens and flashes. These three pillars are, I suppose, triangulating the three features that we want to really embed. So it's people, data, and technology. So it's the triangulation of those three that are working together as part of our vision. So that first section is people. So a lot of people see people and they think, oh, it's very much HR, that's kind of the area that people work in. Not the case in this situation, because people for us is our consulting arm. So we'll touch on the kind of the graduate roles as to where this feeds into, but people is very much those that are working within the space that they're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. So consultancy is key. It's a very much people-facing organization. So some of these roles in these boxes highlighted here are an example of the different areas that you could be working in within the people space. So CLM, PMO, regulation and compliance. So I assume there's lots of people on listening on from different degree backgrounds. Perhaps you're from a business background, a legal background, or you like the idea of working with people and getting very much in that consultancy space. Those who are interested in perhaps the big four, myself and Anthony were talking about this earlier, working in those big corporate outfits where you are consulting to clients. If that's the type of space that you like to work in and you can see yourself working in, the people side of our business is exactly where you would fit in. This ESG box, I think, is worth highlighting as well, because it's very much an area that we're moving into. So it's all about the kind of environmental space. And as a company, we're making serious strides to ensure we're very much in that right environmental space, that that corporate governance side of things is the way it's going. We have to be a very green organization. So if that's something that you're passionate about, we're very focused on that as well. So we would love to hear from those people who are into that as well. So that's people. We could spend all day talking about all of these different roles, but it gives you just a taste of kind of the types of roles that you could be working in within this particular side of the business. The next one is data. So as I had discussed, this is the future of the growth of the organization. Every part of our business has data within it. In fact, a recent speech from our CEO, Seamus Keating, just last week, actually, in our Newry office, he really highlighted the importance of data. All of our kind of growth areas within the business are focused on data. The industry in general is driven by data. And one note that he did say was that, any graduate deciding on a career within this space, they have their head screwed on, because this is the growth. This is where all the roles are moving towards. In fact, a course that I'm doing myself at the moment is in regards to digitalization. And this is the focus. Every organization and every industry you can think of right now, they have to get onto the data wagon because they'll be left behind. So this gives you a taste of the types of roles within data that you could be working on. So there's data ops, which is slightly more focused on sort of the people side as well. So you don't have to be a developer, you don't have to be a programmer to work in the data space. You know, you could be very much passionate and informed on data, but work on the operational side of things. Similar for data governance, it's ensuring that the regulation is in line within the data space. But if coding is your thing and you love the idea of programming and cracking some code, we have roles for you guys as well, very much in the data engineering and data architecture side of things. Within a third sort of part of the group of the FT Technologies group is KX Technologies, and we own that technology. And I'm sure lots of people have seen it. We will teach all of our graduates within the data space how to use KDB technology. So I encourage you all to look it up. You know, Google KX, you'll find out a bit more about it. But it's really about using kind of the real-time analytics in helping our customers manage their data to make quick decisions and to work and operate more efficiently. So that's kind of that area, that space of data, whether you're working under the hood on the code, or maybe you're kind of very much more on the people-facing advice-giving side of data organizations. There's lots of different roles. So, you know, please don't be put off when you hear of data. A lot of people automatically think I have to be a developer. That is not the case. We have lots of different roles within that data space. And myself and Joshua would be delighted to speak to people and tell you a bit more about it. So that's data. The next one we're going to move on to is technology. So previous to our restructuring, this would have been known as our vendor services. So I suppose what that is, it's kind of our third-party applications. So the likes of Calypso, Murex, you may have heard of these technologies before. We teach and train up our consultants in these third-party applications so that they become experts in that space. What that means is that they go through their initial training period in the finance side, and then we specialize their training so that they are experts in that third-party application software. So it's a really good blend of those of you who are passionate about finance, however, would like the idea of also having that technology slant as well. So learning a bit more about coding as well. So this is quite a unique option within the technology space where there's a hybrid of both going on. And again, within this stream, there's more technical roles and there's some more kind of people-facing roles. So from application support right through to application development and, in fact, cloud infrastructure. So lots going on within this part of the business as well. So that's people, data, and technology. They're the kind of three triangulation of opportunities within the First Derivative business. So that's the best way to remember it. It's kind of the triangle of opportunity. So we could spend lots and lots of time going into all the detail of the different roles, but everyone on here today is interested about careers potentially working with us on the graduate program. So the grad program has been launched, from whenever I joined, so probably about 12, 13 years it's been live. And every year it's got bigger and better. I'm very passionate about it because, we've put so much into this over a number of years. It really is the lifeblood of our growth of the organization. Our clients, our C-level executives, they're very passionate about the talent coming into the business because it's so important that we get the right people to move the company into the right direction. In your first few weeks of joining, you will be exposed to senior leaders in the business. So I was mentioning earlier to Anthony, we've had a number of intakes over the last 2 months back into the office, which is fantastic, which is something we've been trying to do. Obviously, COVID had put the brakes on that a little bit, but physically getting people into the office is really important for us. And our group CEO, Seamus, was adamant he wanted to jump on the plane and come and meet all of our grads in Uri last week. So hopefully that's an example of just how passionate our leaders are in bringing through our junior talent through the business. And it's only getting bigger and better. So it's such a fantastic time to get into the grad program. So what is the grad program? Well, the capital markets training program is how we've always kind of branded it. And what that is, it's a 2-year program. So your first month is very much head down in the books, classroom style learning. And we've kept it like this because it's a really nice transition from college. You know, you guys are used to sitting in amongst your peers, you know, you have a timetable, you have set modules you have to complete. And that's a really good way to learn. And we've tried to embed that into the workplace. So yes, there's so many other things you need to learn when you're in a workplace, but the key skills that you guys need to know, you will find out in your first 4 weeks. So 4 to 6 weeks, you follow a timetable where there's a mix of finance and technical modules. So it's a busy 4 weeks. 6 weeks, I suppose, is the additional 2 weeks on top of the 4 weeks for those who may choose the technology route, so the vendor route. So the beauty of it is, if you are close to the Newry office, so if you're in the Isle of Ireland, we will bring you to Newry and you will sit in amongst your peers. So another, I suppose, important part to add is that we provide accommodation for anyone who is coming outside of commutable distance. So some people do think, oh, it's based in Newry. I don't know anyone who lives there. You know, where will I live? Do I commute? You guys don't need to worry about that. We look after all of that. We have an accommodation team. We have a property team. We have a flights team. We have an expenses team. That it's their job to make sure you guys get settled and comfortable. So that the main thing you focus on is the learning. So your time in Newry, I'll give you an example of what this month has looked like post-COVID. So we traditionally bring everyone from across the world to Newry. So when I say our graduate program is global, it really is global. And Joshua will agree with me online today. We hire graduates from all across the world. So it's not just grads from Dublin or Dundalk or Cork or Newry for that matter. We hire every month a handful of grads from potentially North America. So Canada's a big focus for us right now. APAC, we have Singapore, Japanese, a few Australian grads as well, and then all across Europe. UK and Ireland is our bread and butter. You know, they're our kind of main target area because that works really well for us, but we need these people from across the world as well. This month, because of COVID and flights and everything else that made life a little bit more difficult, we hosted all of our London grads in our London office, and they streamed in live to our induction in Newry. And we also had a handful of Canadians logging in as well. So at the moment, it's kind of a multi-city induction that's happening with that virtual mix. But we are hopeful in the new year, our intakes will return back to Newry where everyone is flown in. And it's a proper group month effort of everyone in Newry. So it makes for a good cultural experience as well. You know, you're sitting in the room, in the building with people within your intake from all across the world. Yes, accommodation is provided, but I think it's important as well that the training, it's tough, it's intense, but we also put in some fun activities as well. This Friday, actually, we have our Newry group. They're heading bouldering in the Mourne Mountains. So it gives you a taste of some of the other activities that you may not hear about that we put on for our graduates coming on board. But that's really important for us, that you get a taste of the culture working for the company, because we're very honest in saying we're not like the big four. We're not like the big six or the big 10. We're quite unique in the sense that we are an Irish company to our roots. We are homegrown to our roots, but we're very much moving forward into the global stage at a fast pace. So what we have to offer is very unique in terms of graduate roles out there. So that's kind of a snapshot into what the grad program looks like. These next few steps are kind of the stream. So I know I touched on people initially there. So if you are interested in the people side of things, these first 3 graduate roles would fall under the people side of what we do. So financial engineering data, and financial engineering, legal and compliance. So what's the difference between those 3? I hear some of you probably asking. Financial engineering is typically for those who are maybe coming from a maths background, a finance background, you know, those of you who like the idea of using your degree in the financial space. Financial engineering is the one to go for that. If, for example, you have got a technical degree and you want to get into the finance space, engineering data would be a good option for you. And the main difference between those two is that you will do the same month training initially, where finance and capital markets is your focus. But those on the data stream within financial engineering will specialize then on core data modules as well. So it may be cloud focused. You may get some introduction to some other technologies as well that will be working within the data space. And then that third part, legal and compliance, is for those of you that are coming from a legal background who wants to work in the finance space. So I think a key part to note there is that you will do your first 4 weeks in the finance training. So you have to have an interest in finance, but then you'll specialize in the compliance side of finance, if that makes sense. So if you're coming from a law background and you have aspirations of working for banks and hedge funds, that would be an excellent choice for you. So that's kind of the people options, the top 3. The next 2 here, data engineering and software engineering, would fall naturally into the data bucket. And again, they're very much problem solving. They're very much slightly more analytical, where you'll use and learn more about technologies, particularly KX technology. And we'll teach you how to operate with that, but also other technologies as well. You may be working in Java, C#, C++. So that's data. And then the last one here, systems analyst. So that would fall under the people arm. So again, that the likes of Calypso, Murex, the vendor third-party application projects, that would be systems analysts. So a real mixed bag. I think the most important thing to highlight again is that they are all in the kind of problem-solving financial technology space. They're all of a similar thread, but there's a specialism on some more technical than others, is probably the best way to describe it. Now, don't worry if you're looking at all of these streams and thinking, I have no idea which one's a fit for me. That's where we come in. That's where we guide you and we'll give you advice, because we have spoken to graduates all over the world for years. And, we know straight away within the first couple of minutes of speaking to you what you're a good fit for. So please don't be afraid to reach out to our team and we'll guide you into the right direction of what's a fit for you. So I suppose before I even get into that, I think an important part to highlight as well is the travel opportunity. So a lot of graduates join us with aspirations to travel. We are very encouraging of that. We need people to work all over the world. Obviously, with COVID, it has put the brakes a little bit on that for us, because, we can't get some of our consultants on planes because of visas and everything else. So what we are saying is that your first role may not be as far away as you'd like. So we may encourage you to do a role closer to home initially to build up your experience, to kind of dip your toe into this space, to build up your confidence working in this area. And then we're hoping by the time the borders open and there's a bigger demand for travel, that's when we'll start putting our consultants forward for global roles again. So we're all across the world. We have offices in New York, in Toronto, in Singapore, and we've got Irish grads working in all of these offices. So we want to continue on that stream. So we will encourage you to travel. But on the flip side, if you're a home bird, if you're listening to this thinking, I don't want to go too far, that's okay. We need people to stay in Ireland for us as well. We've heaps and heaps and heaps of projects coming down the line based in Dublin. In fact, we can't keep up with demand in Dublin at the moment. And some really, really good clients. So, we really do have roles everywhere at the moment and from all types of streams and backgrounds. So variety really is there. Intake wise, we have an intake pretty much every month. So we don't have closing dates. We don't have a date that you need to get your application in before cut-off time. We're too big of a business now where the demand is too, it's very reactive to us as well. And we have to jump very, very quickly. If we have a big project that lands, we have to go to market and get talent in quite quickly. So we do an intake pretty much every month of the year. So a lot of people are attracted to us for that reason, is that, you can perhaps do a bit of traveling and then come back and apply to us in February or March. When other companies are closed, we're always hiring. So I think that's worth bearing in mind as well. We've just opened our 2022 opportunities. So we are already getting inundated with applications for next year. So, I would encourage you to get on it. Don't waste time, because although we have a lot of opportunities, we have a lot of spaces, they are filling up fast because of the global market. So if you are interested, please do reach out, get speaking to one of our team, and we'll hopefully direct you into the type of role that might fit you best. We also hope to get actually into campus and physically meet with some of you guys over the next few months. Anthony, I hope that's okay if we come in and actually physically meet people.
We are really looking forward to that day, just to let everybody know that. Yeah, we don't know when it's going to be, but we'll definitely have you guys in.
Yeah, because I think we're all fed up of being behind computer screens. We want to get in and physically meet people and tell you all about what we have to offer.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So that's kind of just a summary of our grad program. We could talk all day about it, but hopefully I've got some questions.
You do. And just to say, Elizabeth, massive thank you for coming along today. It's not often you get the vice president of Global Talent to pop along to a virtual career series. So we're absolutely delighted that you could attend.
Thank you so much.
So you've given a really great overview of all the graduate opportunities, and what I always say with FD or First Derivative is that it's an opportunity to work local but impact global. So I know you didn't mention it, but it's probably worthwhile pointing out the Futures program maybe as well.
Yeah.
And that's really open to students who potentially have an interest in technology but are from a diverse sort of background. And I know one of your colleagues, Ellie, was due to be on with us today, and she's actually a DKIT grad from an early childhood studies background and now working within a HR capacity with yourselves. So I think just to let students know that as well. I'm going to have a quick question for Joshua. So Joshua is on placements at FD at the minute, and we're delighted that you could join us, Joshua. Can you just give us, I know Elizabeth's here and she's VP for Global Talent, but just be as honest as you possibly can around the culture of the organization that you're working for and your experiences as a placement student.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can, I suppose, definitely speak to that and maybe give a bit of insight that's, could be directly relevant. Obviously, the culture is massively important because that sort of largely dictates your experience whenever you come to the company. And I think there's two big things that stand out. I always think, especially about our graduate opportunities, it should have been obvious from what Liz has already covered. So the first thing is the sort of learning and development side of things. Our graduate program and our sort of graduate intake is massive to the company. It sort of forms, maybe I'm biased because I'm on the graduate recruitment team, but I think it forms the sort of core of the company. And so we've put a lot of effort over the sort of last 10, 12 years, as Liz mentioned, into developing our graduate scheme and the sort of development opportunities that come through that. So what is brilliant, and sort of you touched on it a wee bit, is we have different people coming in from technical backgrounds, from more finance backgrounds, but through our capital markets training program, you're getting exposure to not only the sort of finance side, which might be in your academic background, but also that sort of technical exposure, which is obviously massively important moving forward. And as the industry develops, that the sort of technology becomes more and more important every day. So that's brilliant, and that's great. And that's, I think, one of the two pillars of the sort of your experience, employee experience. The other thing is just the social aspect of the organization. Because our graduate program is so important to us, and when we hire so many grads, our company's really youthful. So, for example, I'm sitting here in the office today, and our this month's intake, they're just outside. I'm in a conference room here, and they're just outside. So there's lots of young people in our office, and that sort of naturally then leads to a really social culture that develops. And that's something that we are keen to foster and always been keen to drive. So we do as much as we can to sort of promote that, through organising things. So as Liz mentioned, the guys are all going bouldering on Friday. And, even just in intakes past, we've had just the likes of nights out scheduled and just things like that, which really, set apart a graduate program from what I think is offered at other companies. So I think those are the two things that I think really make our company and our graduate program specifically stand out.
Brilliant. I have a question in from an academic colleague, Liz. It's around the placement element, and that traditionally I think you guys do one for it's a year. It's like a sandwich year. Some of the DKIT placements might be for a semester, but they might lead into a summer. And just wondering if you guys are open to that sort of placements, or are you still very much focused on the year-long placements?
Yeah, traditionally it was a year, and I suppose it still is, if I'm honest. For a number of reasons, we like them to be embedded in a project, and by the time our placements get up to speed, it's usually 3-4 months before they're comfortable. And that's why they can really only kind of deliver to a project within the year. And that's why we've kind of kept the year. However, I do know we're missing a lot of really good talent because they don't have that same window of a year. So we are looking at offering potentially shorter windows, even if it's a kind of a work shadowing or work experience, for example. We're going to try our best to deliver. It's just the logistics around making it a great experience is kind of my preference, because I think taking somebody in for a very short window of time, they're only getting up to speed and their placement's over. So it's just about looking to see what projects are available and how we can make it work. But it's something we're definitely looking at. So
perfect.
Killian will hopefully catch up.
Perfect. No worries. Okay, listen, we're slightly over, guys. Just a massive thank you. We have a couple more questions, but you guys are always contactable anyway, and we've provided the email details to everybody who's on. Just a massive thank you to Liz again for taking time out of what is undoubtedly an exceptionally busy time with 600 grads coming on a year plus. I'm sure it just must be a thrilling but very, very busy position. And Joshua, thanks very much for your input and for your support over the last couple of days in arranging this. Really nice to meet you, and great to hear that you're having such a great experience at First Derivative or FD Technologies. And I still work out the branding in my own head, but your presentation was brilliant. So guys, thanks so much again, and just encourage students to get applying.
Yes, hopefully we see loads of DKIT students applying. We'd love to see you coming. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
All right, thanks, Ty.
Bye-bye.